Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Marcia Erickson. I'm your host for today's conversation, and my guest today is Derek Maupin of Mississippi Truck and Trailer in Rock Island, Illinois. Derek is the fantastic owner in that organization. He has grown up and has recently taken over. So I'm excited to share his story today. So welcome, Derek. Take a few minutes and kind of tell us about your journey and your story with Mississippi Truck and Trailer.
So yeah, about 8.5 years ago, I was invited in to come in and be the general manager. It was a big career change for me. My background primarily before this was in manufacturing
Okay.
and machining. So I completely changed worlds. I went from building and creating things and designing things to managing truck repair and fleets. And I'd always loved cars and mechanics, and that was always a hobby. So this kind of seemed like a natural jump for me because at the time I was really wanting to get into management and leadership. And over the last, 6 years or over 6 years of that, I really, worked side by side with the owner at the time and kept working. And eventually we started having conversations about what would be his exit and when he was going to exit. And I made my intentions pretty well known. And as time came, that's when we started having some serious conversations in 2023 and 2024, and that's when I knew my opportunity was coming to take over. And I've always, um, from a point in my life, I really got to the point where it was about the leadership and about getting to lead people and the opportunity to help people grow and experience some of the growth that I had because I wasn't always a good leader. I wasn't always a good coworker. I wasn't even a good worker there for a certain part of my life. And so now I kind of feel compelled to share those things that I've learned along my way with my staff and with other people. And so that's what really inspired me to do this is the ability to impact people and change lives.
Wow. What is that what drew you to, was it the GM position that drew you to the company and the industry?
Yes, it was my chance. I'd kind of been working towards management. I'd been in my last job for 10 years. I'd been there
Okay.
for a long time and the management position was always the next thing. I was going to make the next step. And then finally I did something crazy and I sacrificed our home life for me to go to second shift to take a management position. And
Wow.
I did that and then it was the next thing was, well, we'll get you to days. We'll get you to days. We'll get you to days. And that offer to go to days never came
Mhm.
until they actually walked in on my interview for the GM position. We were out at a local restaurant and I looked up and all three of my bosses were getting out of the car and getting out of the car to walk into the restaurant. And I was like, oh no. And so from that point forward, honestly, it threw off the person that was interviewing me. It threw him off way more than it did me. But, at that point, all of a sudden my offer to come back to days and all that stuff came. And I was just really happy to get to that leadership. I'd been working really hard and learning
Wow.
lots of skills. And so, and the good thing about that job is I had lots of quiet time. And so I laughingly joke, like I went to school for this. I went to I have a business degree, but I never used it. I came out of college. I started working in a machine shop for the same amount of money that I was offered to go work up in Chicago to do, entry level, marketing or those type of things up there. So I just stayed with the machine shop and what the beauty of it was is I had 10 hours a day where I could just be in front of a screen. Either, in the beginning I was just running machines. Towards the end I was writing programs, drawing things, and I could have headphones in. And so I say that's where my real degree came because that was 10 hours a day were audiobooks. And so at my peak, I probably went through 36, 37 audiobooks a year, just sitting there with them in my headphones in my ears, getting my work done learning how to do this. It started with
Yeah.
Entree Leadership by Dave Ramsey. That's where it started,
Mhm.
and then it just grew. Like all of the most popular leadership books that you can think of came through. From good to great. Read all the Patrick Lencioni, and I just really became a student of leadership and management and all of that stuff during that time. And I was just itching for a chance to get to use it.
Oh my gosh, I love that story. So you talk about wanting to pour into your team, right? From a leadership perspective, what are some of the things that you teach them and what do you want to transfer to them?
Sure. And so, I come at it from a weird standpoint. I've been the bad employee. I've been the bad team member. I've even been a bad boss, right? And so I want to let them borrow my experience. I'm really big on, borrowing other people's experience to try and grow to the next level. And so I want to share with them some of the mistakes that I fell into and let them know that, like, hey, you don't have to be where you are. If you want to get better, we can get you there. These are the same things. And I want to challenge the way framework people look at things. Like, one of the phrases that really, really gets after me is must be nice. Like, I really can't stand the must be nice phrase or something like that. And
Oh,
that's pretty common in both of the industries that I've been familiar with,
uh-huh.
And so from my standpoint, I want to challenge everybody when they say the must be nice, or they look at somebody with this jealousy or envy, and I want to challenge them to, it's achievable. You just have to break it down into steps and reverse engineer your way back to it. You don't need to, there's plenty of room for everybody to succeed. There's a big enough, there's enough room for you on this boat too. Let's go after it. And so I like to pour back in, and then so I like to teach them those skills that I've done. Over the last year, we did the leadership team here, which is really new, and it turned out really fun. Is we went back through some of those old books that I read, several years ago at this point, 5, 6 years ago. And I put my leadership team through all of those books. And we did book clubs. Like, for 13 weeks, every Wednesday, we'd sit and meet for an hour and a half and discuss each book. So we went through, Dave Ramsey. We went through Tim Grover's Relentless. We went through Patrick Lencioni's
Five
Ideal
D's
Team
of Leadership.
Player.
Yeah.
And then we went through The Motive, about why to lead. And so, we went through a lot of, we went through 4 books last year as a leadership team together. And it was
Wow.
great because, it was one thing to do it and read it back then, but then to get to teach it to somebody else was a whole nother level of, and then a fresh new layer of excitement for it as well.
Yeah. Good for you. Level set for us. How many team members do you have?
Right now, today, we are at 20. We have 20
Okay.
right now.
How many are strong leaders that you see as up and comers?
I have 3 in my leadership team that I'm really leaning on to try
Yeah,
and build up and get to that next level. So
that's awesome. What's your long-term plan with the business?
I really want to scale. I want to
Okay.
look into multi-site, multiple locations. The neat thing about this industry is most of the guys are mechanics that have been doing it for a long time, and they're getting older, and they're looking for an exit plan, and they might not have known a lot of these business strategies that I have the advantage of learning. And they came at it from being a mechanic, and they
Yeah,
started a business. I'm coming at it as a business person, learning the mechanical side. And so I think there's a good chance that I can help them move on to the next phase of their life while implying some of the things that we've learned in this current phase, to grow us into multiple locations.
that's awesome. As
Yeah,
you look back on your journey then, since you're giving us kind of a perspective of looking backwards, what was the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you've had to overcome?
honestly, it was myself. We had to, I had to get out of the way of myself. I had to drop those bads. I look at it, we're all young and arrogant and dumb at some point, and so I had started this last job. I had started it, and shortly after I started it, my boss's position got posted. And I just remember being so arrogant and so upset that I wasn't considered for it because I had the bachelor's degree. I thought that meant something. Like, I had the
Mhm.
degree, I should be able to run this. And, like, I wasn't considered. But, looking back at it, like, I was the guy that would walk away from my machine and not get parts done quickly. I was the guy that was more concerned about talking. I was the guy that didn't have anything nice to say at the time. And, like, all of those things just didn't work. And so, through some other life things, we kind of stumbled into the Dave Ramsey, money, the total money makeover thing in our life. And once I kind of went through that part and got kicked off, like it was just like a whole new level of life was shown to me, and
Mhm.
there's this chance to get out of it and not be stuck in where I am. And so getting myself correct is what really started this trajectory of us moving forward to where we are today.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. The concept of wealth that some of us didn't have growing up, right? And how to build
Right.
it and how to get to it and overcoming self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah,
Wow. I love
absolutely.
that. Let's talk a little bit about the business.
Sure.
I think we could talk about leadership and developing your team all day long. What makes Mississippi Truck and Trailer different, unique from some of your competitors?
Sure. A couple of the big things is we have an on time a full-time CDL driver on staff, and we have a couple drivers. So we primarily cater to other businesses. We do really well with fleets, and so the driver and the parts runner, they kind of team up together to go pick up and shuttle units back and forth, because when a business needs to move a unit, they got to pull two employees and they got to move them from one to the other. And so say you're 20 minutes for me, that's 20 minutes there times two, so you got 40 minutes, and then you got another 40 minutes on the way back. And so that's a lost production, or a guy
Yeah,
not doing another job. And
productivity,
so
sure.
let us do that for you. Let us help you. Let us move through. And we are really good at a one-stop shop. So we have a lot of individual centers here. So we have a full service body shop. We have a trailer shop. We have a service department. We do tires. We sell small pole barn trailers. So a lot of our normal businesses here in the area need some part of all of those aspects. And so it's really hard to free up your equipment, because as a business owner, you need that stuff to make money. And so if we can take care of all of it under one roof during one downtime, without you having to free up your staff to do it, I feel like that really helps make things a little bit easier for you as a business owner. And that's what we try to do.
So you've really thought through the value to the customer and how can you add the most value?
Sure, I can't take credit for that. I'm not going to take credit for that. That's something that's been a long-standing thing here.
Okay.
I won't take credit for some of the stuff that's been the Mississippi name and what we've been able to do. But yes, so that's a big thing, is we try to provide as much value to the other business owners as we can.
And you feel like your other businesses in your industry don't necessarily offer that same service?
I know that not all of them do, because it does
Okay.
take a fair amount of resources on our end. There are a few
Yeah.
that have CDL drivers. A lot of the mechanics in this industry get CDLs as well, so they can shuttle it in and around.
Okay.
But for us lately, one of my big things is I've been putting my blinders on, and I'm not so worried about what the competition's doing, and we're
Mhm.
just trying to do the best that we can do. And so I know a couple of them have CDL drivers on staff
Mhm.
as well. I'm not trying to say that we're the only ones to do it, but I know not the smaller ones don't always have it. So
Yeah. Let's talk about marketing for a little bit. So
sure.
obviously, all of our listeners are interested in the latest, best, and getting the most return on investment for their marketing. What what are some of the strategies you're using from a marketing standpoint that are working? Some that you've tried that didn't work? Um, Tell me about that. How that's working for you?
Sure. Marketing's kind of tricky, right? And so we haven't largely done a lot of what I would consider your traditional marketing or advertising. We've really put a lot of our eggs in an outside sales basket from time to time. And so if we need to go get people, it's building that face-to-face relationships with the decision makers at these companies and doing it from that regard. So a lot of our marketing has always traditionally been that. Now, we've tried the let's be on the radio, let's go do these Facebook ads, let's do this stuff. We've done all of that. And sometimes the traffic picks up, the stats look good on Facebook, but it's hard to correlate it back to sales.
Mhm.
And we've never really had that defining, like, this is really working or this is not working. So it's just been, we've always kind of defaulted back to outside sales. As of recently, I've really shifted more to content style on
Mhm.
our social medias. And so it's a lot about telling you about the products, telling you what you offer. You can find me on a bunch of videos on our Quad City Trailers Facebook page
Okay.
sound trailers. We do a lot of stuff on the Mississippi Facebook page where, the recently I just did an 8-part video series going through what it's like to be a mechanic here, and what it is, what our day in our life is like, what you can expect, the expectations, what works here, what doesn't here. And so it's less about kind of showing you or hitting you in the mouth with what come by my stuff and more about let's just share some information with you. Let's tell you what it's like. Let's let you get to know me and the company and what we're about.
Yeah. That leads us into hiring and recruiting. Talk about that a little bit. So, CDL drivers are tough, mechanics are tough right now. What are some of the strategies? Do you feel like you have a solid recruitment process? Onboarding, training? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's probably one of those areas that we're really trying to be better at. I've done a lot of hope and prayer, I guess. Like,
Mhm.
let's see how this works. And so there's really two schools for me on this. Like, I can be team hire quick, but then you need to be team fire quickly.
Mhm.
And if you hire quick and fire quick, I think it works that way. I've kind of really got to the point here as of recently where I want to protect our brand and I want to protect the product that's going out the door. So I'm a little less likely to take a chance with some of these, mechanics and the production workers that go out. And that's really hard for me because I can anybody that comes in the door, like I want to believe in the best. Like you come in here and you sit down and you talk to me, like I think we're gonna turn you into the best. Like you've worked for some bad bosses. I'm not gonna be that bad boss. Come on in, we'll make this work. And I like to give everybody a second, third, fourth chance. Like I'll be the one that can break the chain, right? Or break the mold. And you know, I'm learning that I'm probably not the one that's gonna break the mold as much as I want to be. Um, so we're going through it on the hiring front. I'm trying to kind of look at every option. We've done the 8-part series where we're putting a little bit more about
Yeah,
what the day in
love
life
that.
is. I have a couple recruiters gunning for me because I have some open positions, so I'm trying the recruiter route.
Okay.
We're actively searching on Indeed.
Mhm.
We get on the Indeed thing. I'm running through at least 2 interviews right now, and then I'm working through a personality assessment. We've been using this testing that we can run, and I have had some good luck really weeding through some people that probably would have got through. And it's just simple things like, hey, this person doesn't like risk. So if you're going to bring them into a a pay plan that has some sway in it, like that's probably not going to be a good fit. Or, one of the things is it'll say this person has, above average or below average stamina. So they might work, a 40-hour week might feel like a lot to them as to where this guy, an above average, yeah, let them work 60 hours. They'll be happy. And so it's allowed me to really kind of tailor the candidates that are coming into the position and filter them a little better.
Yeah. Excellent. I have some thoughts on that. Have you had a time when you've had your powerful team in place, or are you still building it?
We had a version of that a few years ago. We really did. The company is kind of, you know, we're rebuilding right now. I'm rebuilding the team into where it was. But a few years ago, we were really firing. It was bigger than we were. At our biggest, we were over 30. We had like 32 employees.
Wow.
And so, you know, right now we're kind of retooling. The economy is a little bit different. Freight isn't moving in this area the way it was a couple of years ago. So it's kind of naturally fallen down to where we are today. But I don't want to rely on those excuses or those answers as well. But I'm being very honest. I'm being a little more selective about who comes in. And so
Mhm.
I have some open roles that, if we could get them filled would be great. But at the same time, I'm going to make sure that the roles are getting done correctly and we put the right people in the seats.
Nice. What would it feel like if you had those spots full with your high
I
performers?
I think that I'd enjoy a couple weeks of wondering what I was going to do, and then it'll be on to the next project.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that your biggest challenge, or if there was another challenge in the business, what would it be?
Right now I have a couple key positions that I I really need three hires right now. And so
Okay.
I'm feeling the pain from the three that I need.
Hmm.
And, that's a lot of that. Now my leadership team has picked up a lot of slack. I want to give them all the credit in the world, but some of that has fallen onto my plate. And so I'm kind of feeling those. I'm feeling that right now. It's just a season, and I know that it'll come. And when I get the right person, it'll be worth the wait. Will be worth it.
Good.
But for now, that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Good. So the wait, it'll be worth the wait in personal time, energy, being able
Yeah.
to work on the business a little bit more than in it.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I am right now. It's, I operate, using the quadrant for our time, how, the quadrant method for how
Yep.
to manage your
Yep.
time. And, there was a brief stint where I was running a lot of Q2, doing the things that I needed to do. And now I'm living healthily between Q1 and Q2, where I'm just taking the emergencies that should have gotten handled a week ago and dealing with
Yeah.
them today. But you know, we're keeping everything moving outwardly. I don't think there's much notice. It's just a little more chaotic on my end.
Yeah. So for listeners who might not be that intimate with the quadrants, really what you're talking about are how much time are you spending in the business, on the business, firefighting versus those important, doing the things like today that are
Yeah,
important and not urgent, right?
correct. Correct. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for that. Thanks for being vulnerable. Let's move into some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Ready?
Yep.
What is the key to success for you?
That's really hard. I think that easily it's just coming in and remembering that we're all humans and that everybody's trying to do their best, and to give everybody some grace.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. I use that phrase quite often. What's the one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Keep your head up. Don't don't quit when it gets hard, because from my point of view, it's if things are getting hard, you're probably going down the right track. If everything's easy, you're probably not trying hard enough.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's good. It's a good nugget. What you talked a lot about books. Love all those. What's one book or podcast that you're reading or listening to right now?
Right now I have The Gap and the Gain,
Mhm.
by I can't think of the author right now, but The Gap and the Gain is the one that
Yeah.
I'm reading through right now.
Nice. Excellent. Any learnings from it? What's sticking with you?
Well, I'm not naturally this huge optimistic person and happy, I mean, Eeyore could probably be my spirit animal at times. And so um, just the thought of remembering how far we've come, and to measure backwards and trying to not get so down on where I want to be or where I think we should be, and then go backwards and take a look at where we started and
That's
remembering
awesome.
that. So,
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, here's the fun question. If you had a little bit of magic dust, Eeyore, and you could sprinkle it on one piece of the business, where would you sprinkle that?
well, I don't know. That's a complicated question. I thought you said these were going to be easy rapid fires.
I said rapid
Uh,
fire. I didn't say easy.
Magic does. I think that if we could make a few of these key hires and get the marketing running right the way it was. If we could
Mhm.
just get everything all in line at the same time, and get everything to fire all at once, like, it would be kind of scary how quick this ride would go.
Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. I imagine a lot of listeners can relate to that actually. Okay, before we get into the final question of the day, share with the audience how they can find you. How can they learn more about you and reach out to you?
Sure. Best way would be to find us on social media. We have a Facebook page. It's Mississippi Truck and Trailer Repair. Follow us on there. Shoot a message. I'm the one that handles most of the messages and stuff through there, so it'd be the best way to get a hold of me. I think there's an Instagram as well under Mississippi Truck and Trailer Repair. I think it's at Mississippi TNT for Instagram, and those would be the best places to get a hold of us.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay. Final question. What is inspiring you today?
I think that there's something bigger for me. And, one thing we didn't really touch on is that, I kind of look at this from a faith walk and a ministry journey for me. And this is my chance to minister to people through here. And so, when I'm down, when I'm down and having a hard time, I'm not ministering the way that I am, and so I the way that I need to be or the way that I can be. So I'm trying to, as we said, measure backwards, look at things from a positive light, and remember that it's not as bad as it seems. You know, every day I've been given the opportunity to lead this and steer this ship, and I want to take that seriously and make sure that I'm doing it the right way.
Wow, you are very inspiring. This was a great conversation. I really enjoyed hearing this. Thank you for sharing all that with us. Thank you for being humble and vulnerable and showing us the highs and lows and of business ownership. So thank you to Derek. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. And don't forget to like and subscribe at this channel so you can see more of us and follow Derek and look for some of his videos. We really appreciate it. Have a great day.